Here we go, rally fans. Carisma has just released this 1/8 scale electric ready to run based on the iconic 1997 Subaru WRC Impreza. We're gonna go over the body set. I'm gonna show you the features of the M48S chassis, and we're gonna take it out for a drive. So let's start off with the body. It's a one-piece body painted in that signature blue, and they have the high-deck spoiler out back that's also color matched. Love the bright yellow Subaru graphics, and there's tons of license decals. Pirelli, NGK, Sparco, Bilstein. It's got the McRae and Grin names on the rear window, and the windows are decals, but at least they're nicely done, and this body is held on with body clips, but at least they give you the little decal circles around it so the body pins don't eat into it. It's a good looking body. I love the look of this generation. The signature gold spoke wheels really make this thing stand out, and the treaded rubber tires on this look nice as well for running on tarmac and dirt surfaces. Let's pop the body off of this thing so we can check out the chassis. And we'll start up front here with the foam front bumper. It adds a little bit of extra protection, and then right behind it, composite shock towers. They're pretty rigid, and what makes them even sturdier is this upper aluminum brace. This helps brace the chassis and the shock towers for a really rigid setup. There's some long travel shocks on this thing. Check out the length. They have a composite body. They are threaded. They're oil filled. There's an aluminum upper cap, and the front feel pretty stiff. The rear, a little bit softer. Double wishbone suspension setup. The arms have a little bit of flex to them. Good looking steering knuckles and caster blocks. I did, however, notice that the upper links are fixed and they just have a screw that goes through them. No bushing or pivot ball whatsoever. So I kind of see that as a wear point. Hopefully they have some options available, but I like that they include sway bars for the front and rear, so that's going to help tame that chassis roll. The rear suspension looks good as well. Again, long travel oil-filled shocks, composite lower arms, and stout-looking rear hub carriers. Let's get into the chassis next, because this is actually pretty cool. This is a fiberglass plate chassis, and it's a flat plate. We haven't seen that in a while. Usually we see a little bit of kick up in the front, but it's a flat plate, and I like this. They have the Carisma logo printed on it, and the Subaru Impreza WRC 1997 logo printed, as well as the chassis designation down here. Just a little bit of extra detail, pretty cool. And then the rear, they have a skid to help prevent wear to that fiberglass chassis. That's also the rear splitter. And then the front molded bumper also acts as a skid. They've got a really simple battery mount for this. I like that, just some Velcro straps to hold it down. So you can put anything from a soft case battery to a hard case battery in it. And then they have a receiver box. But with this receiver box, I actually moved the antenna out of the way just a little bit to get you guys a picture of the center diff, and it cracked the side of the antenna mount. They need to build that up in future generations. There is some chassis bracing as well from the rear gear case down to the chassis. It's a composite piece, and same with the front, which also supports the steering cranks. Just a dual crank steering setup. I did notice that the servo saver is a little bit loose. I'd crank down on that collar a little bit. It's probably gonna have a lot of flex out of the box just to help protect that servo, but I'd go and crank it down a few more turns. The drivetrain looks pretty good. We've got a front, center, and rear differential. I took the rear differential apart for you guys to show you the metal gears for the ring and pinion and the metal internal gears on it. I did notice, however, it's not a sealed differential. They've got one gasket between the ring gear and the cup, but no O-rings for the steel outdrive, so you can't fill it with oil. And I noticed that the center differential feels pretty loose on this, and it's definitely gonna need some heavier grease in my opinion. Would have been nice if we could have put oil in there, but we have ball bearings throughout, steel dog bones out to the stub shaft, so at least we've got an all metal setup here. That's always nice to see. Let's hit on the electronics next. We've got a high torque metal gear servo. They don't have any name branding on it, just the Carisma logo. Again, the receiver's inside the receiver box. It's a Carisma radio system, and then they have the Carisma Sport Tune 540 size motor, and I haven't been able to find the KV rating on it yet, so if I do hunt that down before this video goes live, I will put it in the video description. The speed controller is a 2S only speed controller, or actually you could run a 6-cell nickel metal hydride pack, but you can't run 3S in this. They do have a cooling fan on it. I like that, and it is programmable, so you could tune punch or brake force. The programming button is out here on the waterproof switch. The other thing I like is it is fitted with an XT60 connector. The included radio is the CTX 8000 2.4 gigahertz radio system with basic trim functions. You'll need 4 AA batteries for that. Also in the box is your instruction manuals for the car and the speed controller setup, and then they give you some decals if you want to go swap out the light decals. So really cool looking release overall from Carisma. I like the body set. I like some of the features here, such as the drivetrain setup, the long travel oil fill seatbelt shocks. Just wish that they had bushings for the turnbuckles, and those differentials could have been sealed with O-rings. That just would have just stepped it up for me. But enough of that, let's head out and see how it performs. All right guys, quick run through on the drive with the M48S. It's been a lot of fun in the dirt and in some rock, and it's not a big fan of the rocks. It's just a little hard to control, and then in the packed dirt, it handles a lot better with those tires. As you can see here on the asphalt, there's some understeer to it. It steers pretty good on the packed dirt. A lot of fun just blasting around in the sand, I will say that. But I want to show you something really quick as far as the punch goes. Little laggy on the bottom end. It takes a little while to get off. I think you need to tune that ESC for a better punch setting. And then the other thing I wanted to show you was reverse. It's a bit laggy in reverse. That's full throttle in reverse. So my guess here is it needs a little bit more of a pinion gear, or you might want to swap it out to a 3S system, because I think the chassis can handle it. I think this platform wants more power, it can take more power, and once you do that, I think it'll open up to a lot more fun. So far, Carisma RC's M48S seems to be a solid car. I really enjoyed driving it around on the asphalt. There was just a bit of understeer. So those of you getting into RC that you really like this car, I think you're gonna enjoy it there. It just needs a little bit more speed. I actually went back to the parking lot on another day and did a speed test, and it was 18 miles an hour. I was thinking it was around 20, but it was 18 miles an hour is the top speed, which is a little bit slow for an A-scale car. And remember, this is only capable of running 2S. Like I said out there in the parking lot, this is a car that I think could actually handle 3S. And as far as going up a few teeth on the pinion, I'd maybe only do 1 or 2 at the most. At the end of my run, the motor was kind of warm, and to the point where I was gonna let it cool down before the next pack. I was running a 6400 milliamp pack, if I remember correctly. So it is a little bit longer than the standard 5000 milliamp pack. So that's something to consider. It's a little on the slow side, but the car handles well on the other end of it. The car looks really good. But I think where I had the most fun was actually in the sandy dirt lot, where I could just power slide this thing around, watch the dirt fly off the tires. That was super cool. That's like what you want to do when you're driving a rally car, and that it did really well. You know, Carisma has been working really hard on coming out with some awesome scale RCs, and they did a great job with this Subaru. And they're gonna have option parts for it as well, such as a light pod that you could put on the front, so you could go and customize this thing, upgrade it, really grow into it in the future. And I hope they come out with some more body shells on this platform. I think it's a good platform. I hope a Mitsubishi's next.